Let us put ourselves in the presence of the source of life, the source of light, and the source of love. Earlier last week, we mentioned that we would try to find some different formats for these evening reflections. And a series of questions were sent out on Monday's Thoughts. And I'm so happy with all the replies that I got and the inputs. And you must have realized by now that this was a meditation for us. To take the object of meditation and try to see its full implications so that all these thoughts lead to the inner world and open up for us God's presence and glory. So some questions were posed, and in these meditations, everybody will get something a little different. And when we combine these differences, we find it enriches our understandings. And so, one question that was asked, what does the image of full moon mean to you? And the moon influences, and what's its relationship with the earth, and so on. So let's try and take each question and each answer. And to me, the full moon means completeness, wholeness, because it's completely round. Actually, of course, the moon is such a beautiful phenomena that we have been looking at for thousands and thousands of years. It doesn't have any light of its own. Its light is reflected from the sun. And there were two clues put in the prayer. One person quite rightly said, make me pure, more pure than the moon. Even the moon has blemishes. This was the Holy Mother. But the other reference was, whatever path you choose, I'll accept it. Two paths are traditionally there. One is described as the path of the sun and the path of the moon. The moon is the place of the ancestors. The moon is the place where most people will reap the benefit of their karma and ultimately return here to this earth. So there is that kind of connection also between the earth and the moon. Somebody said the moon influences the tides of the ocean and the earth, but we may add the seasons as a consequence. We may add your mental states. The moon and the mind, these two are correlated. And so just as the moods and rhythms of a month are clear, and we know how to measure real time, not just solar time, by this waxing and waning of the moon, we find that the moon cannot do without us, and we cannot do without the moon. The image of full moon represents wholeness or completeness. The moon also is a reflection of quietness and peace. When we look at this moon and the beautiful scene, and I have to thank Sharanya for putting this video together with her great gift of creativity to exactly synchronize these pictures with the words. And somebody said, as clouds move away, the full moon is observed. And in this same way, ignorance is moved away. You can experience the light from within. We think the moon is moving, but it's the clouds that are moving in front of the moon. We mistake what is fixed and what is changing and superimpose one on the other. The moon's gravitational pull impacts the weather change in the earth and thus helps to maintain biological cycle in living beings. This cooperation between this moon and the earth. We can think of the moon as the mind and the earth as the body. And then somebody quite rightly said, Holy Mother's prayer made me purer than pure. Somebody said, it makes me think of Divine Mother. How beautiful these expressions have come out. her magnetic energy pulling me towards her. I can stare all night. In a way, it's Divine Mother in the form of her light shining down on me. I know she is with me. I feel her presence. And so you see, these are not just thoughts that come out on a daily basis. And the purpose of these evening reflections is to lead this thought into a reflection and ultimately into meditation. There is one point of focus, purity and light in the sky, says another person. And somebody said, I love the moon because it reflects life back to us. Sometimes it is shaded, even hidden, like our Buddha nature. At other times it is magical. And we know from deep writhing only God could create such mystical beauty. And He wants us to raise our minds and eyes and see the beauty of our life and world. It is possible that without providing these evoking questions, that we would have missed all the messages within this reflection. Full receptivity, reflection of the unseen source of light, reminds me of an auspicious day. Many holy days in the Vedic culture fall on full moon, such as Guru Purnima, Buddha Purnima, Puri Purnima, etc. The full moon. So I thank you for these beautiful reflections and also for sharing them so that everyone can get the great benefit of these various thoughts. There were some other questions that were formed. For example, why is there a reference to the dome? You see, as you look out in the sky, you don't see the sky hanging above the earth. We see it as if it's coming right down, like a cloth, right down to the edge of the horizon. And so from our point of view, it looks like a dome. And a dome signifies an element of protection. The ancient people must have seen this as a kind of dome that is accepted for what we see it as it is. And how this black night sky seems to eat away, and how we find tamas can seem to eat away at our purity. And so we find this waxing and waning of the moon is equivalent to the waxing and waning of our own mind. We ask that it may always be full and steady. We ask that we may be purer than the moon. The most wonderful thing when we look at the moon closely is to see its various craters. The shining element of it is, of course, due to the fact that the impact of craters on the moon's surface, she just accepting it, throws up silica, sand. And then when that silica settles, it creates a highly reflective surface. In other words, the most reflective surfaces on the moon is made from glass. These are glass beads shining back at us. What a wonderful thing it is to contemplate these things. And so there is much more to contemplate about this beauty of our moon. St. Francis of Assisi put it in a feminine gender. He claimed that the sun was like a brother, and then he said sister moon. So this kind of relationship is there. This moon has inspired many, many poets, many, many musicians. Earlier on, and I wasn't sure if you could hear it, and it cut off all of a sudden, I was playing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, one of the most beautiful tributes to the beauty of the moon. As we leave you with these thoughts and encourage you to carry on this meditation, we continue playing this. as we catch Beethoven's mood when he reflects himself on the celestial orb, this great cosmic lamp that sits high in the sky. And we give thanks for this manifestation of divinity